we are going to talk about something really interesting today. But before we start, I want to ask a general question to all of you. I don't know if how I'm going to ask that. Recently, which there was one of the largest fundraise in entire Europe, right? In which sector it was? General guesses would have been LLMs, right? Because that has been the boom. But ironically, that fundraise was not even in. This was a $1.1 billion fundraise by V, which was led by Microsoft, Nvidia, SoftBank, and all. And this was into autonomous driving, embodied AI, right? And this was one of the largest fundraise in entire Europe till date. Right? So on that tangent, we are going to talk about something really interesting. What's really next after LLMs? LLMs have really become a commodity right now. I think everybody right now in this room might be knowing LLMs on their fingertips, right? And is there really an opportunity for India? We are stuck in a Gen AI and LLM FOMO right. Founders, there are a lot of startups every day, maybe 10 or 20 startups are coming up across the world, which are creating wrappers and apps on top of existing commoditized tech, right? LM. So there's Gen AI for that, right? But the global research is taking a totally different tangent that a lot of people in a general industry still unaware of. So is there really a new opportunity to build in India for the world? Because LMs are all commoditized, right? We are still taking something existing like llamas of the world and fine tuning, building wrappers on top to create apps. But that's something we are creating specifically for India specific solutions or something like that. Is there an opportunity that we still as a country have and can harness? Okay. So there are some really critical problems left to be solved, right? Autonomous driving or robotics, you might call it by any names. Wherever there are some, uncharted territories, whether it's autonomous vehicles, self-driving cars for maybe mobility, robo taxis and all, or to creating co-pilots to reduce accidents or maybe some uncharted terrains like mining and all, there's a very big gap there because that's where the value creation that is expected is going to be very, very high. A very classic example is the amount of capital lost by our country due to inefficient mobility. Automotive is around $32 billion. And if you just try to compensate all the accidents that happen on the road, the time that you spend uh, stuck in traffic and all the stress that is created. And it's a $4 trillion market that is up for grabs. But why self-driving cars and robotics haven't been yet been solved? Because if there have been some recent examples, there was a classic Tesla example where it mistook a red sunset for a red traffic light, and slammed the car brakes in between of the road, and then that led to an accident. And same thing, there was another classic example that happened in a cemetery. A Tesla car was able to detect some humans. There was a joke going around, can AI really detect ghosts? And obviously, if AI application, which is essentially taking control of a car or robot, is making such kind of predictions, you will not trust it even for sitting inside, right? And then you take it to a very extreme level, right? Take a simple example, like the image that is shown on the screen. Now, it's very easy for AI to get confused, right? Is it a human? Is it a vehicle or it's just a billboard, right? And interpreting it in a wrong way might lead to something very, very abnormal action. So what makes still a human or even a cat or a cockroach is still a better driver, right? Even a basic organism can navigate any environment, whether it's roads, it's a room, or it's maybe mines, still way better than most best AI algorithms on the planet. The reason is AI is not really intelligent, and this is not something that we are saying. This is some of the finest folks out there from the likes of people sitting in open AIs of the world have been focusing on. AI doesn't really reason. It doesn't really have common sense. It is able to cram so much of data that's found abundantly on internet that it is able to imitate a lot of patterns, right? So we have with LLMs, we have achieved pattern matching at such a scale that correlation is equal to causation is holding true. They have become masters at imitating human language. We are delusioned by their fluency, right? Good for a lot of actions, but still they do not understand a lot of stuff. You take a classic Midjourney example, it still kind of doesn't know how many fingers. You ask it to generate a handshake, it will just fumble with the fingers, right? Are there 4 fingers or 5 fingers, how a hand is created? Because it doesn't lack that reasoning. Even there have been classic example how people have been able to confuse LLMs. Now, but at the same time, if I just, you see this, maybe, some crappy text on the screen, but I think every one of you, if you start reading, you will be able to read all that is written here, because as a human, you do not try to even read a language. Even if the first and last letter of the word are in place, whatever is inside in the between jumbled, you are still able to comprehend, what is written. It doesn't matter in what order the letters in the word are. Or the only important thing is that the first and the last letter are in the right place. That's because we are able to reason, right? So right now, all the best AI systems on the planet can generate some super cool text, image. Now, hallucinations are manageable in vision and language, but it's poisonous for robotics decision. Whenever you have to trust, let's say, some robot with some kind of decision-making task, hallucination can make the thing go haywire. You obviously cannot let as simple as a driverless car hallucinate. A simple misinterpretation can lead to a very major road accident. And that is where there has been a recent trend in research towards new generation of foundation models, right? If you had heard those infamous news of OpenAI's Q Star, or you see what Jan LeCun, the chief scientist of Meta AI, has been focusing on, which he says, we have to move beyond LLMs. They have been focusing on new foundational models which can make reliable real world decisions, which really understand the physics of the world, how things behave, inspired from a human brain. And that is where a major trend of research is happening from the likes of some of the pioneering companies in AV space, Wabi, Wave, right? From some of the best researchers on the planet. If you just see, there has been, from the likes of a lot of MI scientists started a new companies to do this research. Meta has been focusing a lot on that recently, with the OpenAI, what they proposed, what Sora, the recent model, really understands. There is a new tangent that is going away from LLMs, while in our country we are, still stuck in this LLM FOMO, right? Let's build a lot of wrappers, and that is where a real opportunity is. This new trend of foundation models, they are known by two major names worldwide. One is, let's call this word called embodied AI, and the other is world models, a model that really are able to understand how the world behaves, what really constitutes the world, understand the physics and the rules of the real world, and then are able to use that to make different decisions, whether it's for self-driving car, or it's maybe playing some kind of a real life, maybe some game, or interacting with a human in most realistic manner, and or maybe is able to make decisions like, okay, you should invest in a stock, which stock you should invest. Is it able to really understand finances even to that level? And that's where, while the LLMs are becoming a commodity, the next opportunity is into the embodied AI, building foundational models for robotics and autonomy, not just self-driving cars, but across, general robotics, maybe, for drone delivery. Very simple. If right now the delivery is a very difficult model to crack. If they are replaced by machine, a lot of things can happen, right? There are a lot of these dangerous territories, undersea exploration, mining and all, where everything can be replaced by a robot, which is able to do a lot of these things, where human life is very precious and you do not really want to risk them. And that's where the entire global industry is going towards. And this is a huge opportunity for our country, because this is not something that has been cracked yet. Open that LM boom we all miss, right? We are all have been following up to create, let's say, wrappers on top of it, but the core tech has become commoditized to a large extent. Now, there's a new opportunity that we can build in India for the world. And this is where, that's where a real trend is happening. Recently, Wave announced, $1 billion fundraise by SoftBank. There is another, I think this OpenAI partnered with this company called Figure AI, which has been doing something similar. You might have seen some really cool demos on YouTube, which they have news they have been got quite viral. And even here in our country, we at Minus Zero have been doing exactly that. How we can build a very foundational tech in the country, not for India, but for the world, for general robotics, for that $4 trillion automotive and robotics market, which is still left to be penetrated. And recently we announced partnership with Ashok Leyland to power their autonomous trucks in different, right? From the likes of maybe military patrolling to the likes of, in airports and public road trucks. And also we are working with the two major global automakers from day one. And this is something I really want to leave out with a lot of these stakeholders, right? This is something that as a country, we already have been playing a catching up game. We missed a lot of booms, right? From semicon, from, even LLMs, right? And this is a very important opportunity for the country if we start investing in really foundational research from day one, which takes a significant amount of capital, but the kind of results that you can deliver post that will be very significant. And this is something I urge a lot of these stakeholders in our country, a lot of people who might be sitting today, whether they are you are investors or you are, let's say, some kind of, some of the smartest AI folks on the planet. This is something we really need to push forward in our country if we really want to be a AI superpower globally. Happy to have any questions and all.
Coffee.
Uh-huh.
All right. Gagandeep, I think we should take questions in the interest of time. But thank you so much for that. I think this is one of those discussions which we need to increasingly have in terms of not just building for conversational AI platforms, but AI on an all-encompassing note. But on that note, thank you, Gagandeep. Thank you.